Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I wanted to talk about my 3-day conference in Gothenburg, which was for our residents in general practice medicine all throughout Sweden. It was fun. I'd only been to Gothenburg once in my life, so I got to see Gothenburg for a total of 2 hours at the very end. Because the rest of the time I was basically in the conference area of the hotel. It was fun. I knew certain of the people. Okay, there was a pigeon going. I don't know if you heard that. So there were a lot of lectures. There was a lecture by the Sweden's biggest epidemiologist. He just quit his job, but he was epidemiologist after the epidemiologist that was during COVID, Anders Tegnell. Then it was Per Gisle is his name. So that was interesting. He talked about COVID and what we can learn from that pandemic. And then there was an author who was also a musician and a doctor, and he talked about how he wrote his book. There were certain seminaries, or basically like smaller lectures that you could choose from, different ones that were ongoing at the same time. So one of them was about urology, which I went to. There was some that I missed. I really wanted to go to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome one, and then one about menopause. And I wanted to go to all sorts. I went to one about stress and one about the certain blood sample that you can take. Those weren't as good. There was one that is from a Facebook group called Who Takes Care of the Doctor? Vem tar hand om doktorn? It's basically a psychiatrist and a general practice doctor, Jill Taub and Maria Zetterlund. They got together and decided to create a Facebook group for doctors to ventilate their problems and to feel a sense of support and community. And it started with 30, 40 people they thought they were going to get, and in the end they ended up getting 10,000 people, which is like about a quarter of amount of Swedish doctors or something like that. It was a big amount of Swedish doctors, like almost 50%. I don't remember. A lot of my colleagues are on that website. I am also there. I actually helped create the autism part of that support group, because I wrote in the big group anonymously, right? Because I know that I don't want everybody to know that I'm autistic. But I wrote, and then the organizers said, oh, well, we can help you start it up. And so we started it up, and now we're 6 people. But we do have a certain support. It's like a little chat group, a group chat, and we are supportive of each other, so that's nice. And so I went to the workshop of them, and it was interesting how they talked about burnout and about what we can change at our workplaces, at the same time that, we can't always have individual problems for organizational problems, there are some doctors or residents basically that have pretty conflicting views to mine concerning burnout. You can tell that they've never been burnt out in their life, and they have no empathy for people who are a burden on the healthcare system. So that made me cringe and mad. Even my ESFP colleague is a little bit, she's a workaholic. So people who are lazy, or that don't want to work, or that want sick leave, a lot of doctors get annoyed by that. But because I've experienced it myself, I know how it is. I know that I wasn't trying to be a burden on the healthcare system when I was asking for a sick leave. I didn't end up getting a sick leave. I only got a 25% sick leave, and only for like a month. In the end, I ended up having to go down in time. But I think that we shouldn't be demonizing sick leaves to the amount that a lot of doctors are doing. Because we don't have the power to change the social system, the society, the supports that people actually would need, economic help and that kind of thing. So the only thing that we can do is write sick leaves. And you can tell that a lot of people are annoyed by that. Then we had there was one class about clinical sexology, which was actually the best. And I actually got kind of emotional about how simple she made things, and so we as doctors need to get better at asking the question about, are you affected by either your medication or your condition sexually? Does that affect you in any way? Asking that question, we should be asking it much more than we are. At the moment, I'm only asking them for like the SSRIs, because that can give you sexual difficulties. But there were certain things to think of, like for example, you could take a drug holiday for sertraline. There were certain medications that I didn't know could give problems, certain conditions that can give problems. There's also the fact that certain a lot of people, especially if they're older and have a lot of conditions, aren't able to have PIV sex, and yet they can still have sex, and she tried to make us to remind us that sex isn't about having the 3-course meal, and seeing it more like a buffet where you can pick and choose what kind of activities you want to do and which ones you prefer and would like to continue doing. Oh, there's a hare that's running around. Oh, okay. So I thought that was really interesting, and I thought it was interesting as well that she said that even asexual people have a relationship to sex. They have perspective on it, and so everybody has a perspective on it, and so asking it, we shouldn't limit ourselves to a certain kind of person that we think is interested in the question of sex, because even the people that you would think are not interested in the question are maybe interested in the question, so I thought that was interesting take. And also she was talking about how if there's a certain activity in sex that you do not like, that you cannot do, that hurts, it might be good to avoid that completely and do other things from the buffet for a certain amount of time. So I thought that was interesting, So we talked about erectile dysfunction, we talked about vulvodynia and vaginismus. So that was a good one. That was the best one, I think. The urology one was good too. What more? I did not like when we had to do like meditation practice before the sessions or whatever, or that everybody has to like go up and do squats in between lectures. Like I find that so cringe, and also like it never comes at the point where I want to move, you know. Yeah, we also had a lot of good food to eat, so that was nice. The thing that was difficult was mostly, yeah, that we went to sleep at like 2 a.m. and drank every night for 3 nights in a row. I was also sharing a bed. Well, not a bed, but it was basically a double bed, but like two separate beds next to each other, with my ESFP colleague. She had a bunch of like beauty products and everything, and it took her like an hour to get ready every morning. And she'd ask me like, should I have this perfume on or this perfume on? And it's like, she had like 4 perfumes for 3 days. It's her thing. She really likes that. And she had like a huge bag compared to my very minimalist bag. Yeah, so I'm not judging her. I find that like it's actually kind of funny. How different we can be. I'm like one of the only people that can deal with her craziness, and she's one of the only people who can deal with mine. So we kind of do well together in that sense. She likes to put a lot of high music on, but she did ask before she put the music on, which I count that as a win, you know. There's also the fact that, her ex, who she was supposed to marry in Gothenburg, like 2 weeks ago was supposed to be the date. So he was there, which was awkward. We didn't talk to him. His family was from Gothenburg. So that's why they were supposed to have the marriage there. I actually went to see the church that they were supposed to get married in later on without her. And I don't know why they chose that church. It was a little bit disappointing inside. And I know that it was a point of controversy for her and her, supposed to be husband, because his family was Orthodox and her family was Catholic, and the church was Protestant, which I guess was supposed to be a compromise. Anyway, so I don't think it was worth all that conflict, But I saw a bit of Gothenburg. I missed the fish market last time as well, 2017. When I went there last time, I wanted to go to the fish market, but it was closed. This time it was just I didn't have enough time. I will always love Stockholm best out of all Swedish towns. I do like Uppsala, but Gothenburg, not really my vibe. It's more like people from Gothenburg are supposedly very chill people compared to the Stockholm uptight people. And also, there's the connection to the sea, but the weather is shit. It rained every day. It's kind of like British weather. Also, I kind of like the fact that Stockholm is a big city. There comes a point where, a big city needs to offer certain things in order to be considered a big city. Otherwise, it's just a large city, and large just means sprawling and just means, not easy to navigate. I find Malmö is actually better in this case, I don't know. Gothenburg is not my city, but I do like certain aspects of it. I like how people are seemingly more relaxed. I also like that the islands are close by. And yeah, they have that fish culture. I don't really love fish, but I do like shrimp. So we had a lot of shrimp and we had a lot of salmon. Salmon is one of the only fish that I actually like to eat. But yeah, so there's that. Then we we went to the museum, the Universium Museum. Liseberg is the attraction park, which we couldn't go to because it's closed during the week. But then the museum, we actually had a tour about the shark tank in the aquarium, and we got to see the ibis birds in the jungle area. But we didn't have much time in there before we had the buffet. The food was great. It was really good. So I was happy. I ate way too much, and my stomach started having a lot of problems, which made it hard for me to sleep at night. But yeah, I wasn't alone in that. I was kind of afraid of snoring because my ESFP colleague said that she would kick me in the butt if I did. So, and also, it's hard for me to do things and to sleep and to truly be relaxed around another person. So I don't know why I decided to book a double room with her, but in a way it did help me. That being with her is basically I force myself to brush my teeth, be clean, do the stuff and keep the routine, and not like, even if the routine was going to bed at 2 a.m. Then we came to the most fun bit, which was the big party on Thursday night. We stayed there until 1:30. Actually, it's kind of impressive that every Uber that we took, we took an Uber 3 times, and each time somebody else paid for it. And we tried to... Oh, sorry. There's a dog and the hair is running away. Okay. They're like, haha, the dog is just terrorizing the entire neighborhood. Anyway. Sorry, that distracted me. I was talking about the party. So the party was first a meal, and we had like men's choir sing to us, and they were really fun, and they did covers of different songs, like I Will Survive, or different, and they talked. One of them was a doctor, the other ones weren't. Sorry, that dog scared me. And also there's some guy who's just staring at me. What happened is that then we actually had a rock concert, which is my first and only rock concert. I've only gone to like pop and that kind of music concert. But it was the urologist from the morning. I went to his lecture, and he just let his long hair down and started headbanging. And then his daughter was singing. So they were all on stage, and it was like we had our own private concert. And he did covers of different songs, and we were all shouting and dancing, and it was really sweaty over there. Because we were like 500 people invited, and we had like a tiny area to dance in. And yeah, that was one of the most fun I've had in a long time. And then we went to the dance floor, and so then it was like, regular just club basically. And there was some good music, some less good. It was great in general. I had a tequila that somebody bought me, and that wasn't my thing. I don't like tequila. I figured out that now. I mean, it's not the worst, but I'd rather drink wine. Like, if I have to drink alcohol, I'm not like... I like drinks that are fruity. If I need something strong. But I don't like vodka, and I don't like tequila. I'd choose something else. But anyway, I was dancing, and then there was this one guy who was like, "Are you always so happy when you're dancing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm always happy when I'm with the ESFP colleague I was pointing at." And he was a really good dancer. So he was like doing all the moves for me, and I was dancing with him. Now, he was kind of a charmer guy. He seemed kind. He seemed very charming. However, he started dancing like that with everybody, all the girls, and especially with my ESFP colleague, because she can actually dance and he can actually dance, so that worked out better for him than dancing with me. Also, I think they could tell that something was kind of off about me. But so anyway, that guy is just standing staring at me, and basically that's kind of the problem here, is that that guy had a ring on his finger and was married and had kids, according to my ESFP friend. So he was dancing really close to a lot of girls, and he was basically like, his nose on your cheek, like that kind of close dancing, his knee against my knee, like that. And it's fine if it's silly, if it's like, oh, I'm just doing that. But he was doing it with express. He actually texted and got the Instagram of my ESFP colleague and wanted to date her. And yeah, he basically was trying to find somebody to cheat with. So that wasn't great. There was also this other guy who was really creepy, like not on the dance floor, like I didn't see him on the dance floor, but he was creepy in that he wanted to talk to people. He went there expressly with the idea that he was going to find himself a friend or a girlfriend, and he went to each person individually and was like, hi, do you want to talk? And it's like, maybe that's okay in other cultures, but in Swedish culture that is like a big no-no. And he was really intense, like he wouldn't let you leave. So by the time he came to me a second time, like I met him in the morning and then during the evening, by the time he came the second time, I was like, yeah, you already talked to me. And he's like, well, can't we talk one more time? And I'm like, no. And I left. I left. And I saw that he was repeating that behavior with every single person there. And I don't know, it's weird, these people are doctors. Then the last Uber that we took, at the end of the party, was two guys. And basically, they... my ESFP colleague pretended that she knew me because I had a shrimp boat in Gothenburg, and that I had invited her on my ship, and I like to eat shrimp, and so she said that I ate shrimp with my bare teeth, and I was wild that way. And the worst is that they believed her on that point, but they didn't believe her in the fact that she said that she came from Germany, that she was half German and half French, which is actually the truth. She is half German, half French. So they didn't believe that, but they believed more readily the fact that I owned a shrimp boat in Gothenburg. So I never had a boring moment with my ESFP colleague. She would keep doing this shit, and it was fun. Also, I got to meet her friends there was this course that she went on a boat. So some of those people from that boat were also at this conference. And, they came from different countries, and they were really nice. We ate at the hotel breakfast together. Another big thing that happened is that our first train was delayed, and our second train was delayed to get there. So in the end, we ended up getting there 3 hours too late. So we were there at 1 a.m. We were with our third colleague, who's like he's a pretentious and annoying guy. I think that he's like an ISTJ. And he really annoys me in like every sense of the term. And so obviously he annoys my ESFP colleague even more, because they are like total opposites. But we were stuck on a train, And so we ended up getting into heated debates about Charlie Kirk out of everything. My ESFP colleague is quite conservative and actually listened to his podcast, something that I find morally not good, And so I was having trouble to, keep calm. Because then my ESFP friend started to say a bunch of shit about we could identify as anything nowadays, and she said that she's traditional, and I'm like, I'm sitting here, that I'm gay. And so in the end she did end up apologizing for that, because we have very different political leanings, and we can stay friends anyway, but it does irk me, and so I try to stay away from political things in my life with the people at work, but also on my channel. I don't want to get into all that. If one of you has seen my bathtub video, which has since been deleted, then you know what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to risk myself getting banned from YouTube concerning my thoughts on the subject. But yeah, it was a weird social experiment that we were there, like 3 completely different people stuck on a train, and then we actually, since we arrived late in Stockholm, where we were supposed to take our second train, we thought that we wouldn't be able to manage the second train, but we did in the end. We ended up, the second train ended up being late, so we managed to get on the second. But we had to run really, really far and fast, and my ESFP colleague had her huge bag full of perfumes and makeup and all sorts of things. Face masks, we did face masks, which was fun, but we had to rush. And then once we ended up making it, and it was all fine. But yeah, then we had, and then I returned with the annoying ISTJ guy, but he ended up sleeping the whole trip, so that was fine. I really needed a whole day's respite after this, because I was so tired after socializing constantly for 3 days. But yeah, I found that it was a good thing to do. It took my mind off all of the stressors that I've been experiencing. I wish I had more time in Gothenburg to actually visit the place. But it was really good. I also wish that maybe there was more opportunity to take several of the different lectures, because, well, they were going on at the same time. I couldn't go to those that I had opted out of, Also, because I was so tired, we had to take naps during the day, and so miss certain things. I missed a debate that was about AI, which would have been interesting. I also, there was that writer, musician, doctor that's I ended up going to, but I ended up leaving early. But otherwise, I think that I fully took in those few days. I also, I went to, I don't have many opportunities to go on courses because, there's problems with the budget and everything. Doctors back in the day used to go on conferences all the time. Nowadays it's no, there's no money for that. So I'm really glad that my boss allowed us to go on this trip, because it was truly, we learned a lot. I think that we're better doctors for it. So yeah, have a great day, everybody. Bye.